If you don't see the life you want, you'll never build it. Vision is the spiritual blueprint, the inner architecture. You don't need more time. You need more direction. Direction is what makes effort meaningful. You can grind for 10 years and still be broke if you're grinding in the wrong direction. See, vision compresses decades into days. A clear vision lets you skip the noise, the detours, the waste. It helps you say no, not out of guilt, but out of purpose. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think time is the problem, but time is never the problem. It's confusion, it's hesitation, it's not knowing what you want and why you want it. Don't ask life for a paycheck. Ask it for a legacy. And to do that, you must first know exactly what you're building and why. If your goal is only survival, then you'll build systems that keep you surviving. But if your goal is freedom, you'll build disciplines that create freedom. That's the secret. You've got to get clear. You've got to define the income you want to earn, the work you want to do, the people you want to serve, and the impact you want to leave. Vague vision produces vague results. But clarity, that's power. That's where freedom begins. So, before you ask what strategy to follow, ask what mountain you're climbing. Because the right map only matters if you know where you're headed. This is not about chasing money. This is about creating a life by vision, a life by discipline, a life that builds wealth not only in your bank account, but in your soul. Let's begin. When I speak about financial freedom, I want you to understand this fundamental truth. It does not come from sudden windfalls or lucky breaks. Most people fall into the trap of waiting for that big momenta jackpot, an inheritance, a miracle deal to change their financial life overnight. But let me tell you, that's not how lasting wealth is built. True financial freedom comes from small, consistent actions practiced every day. Actions that may seem mundane, but carry the power to change your entire future. I have seen it again and again. People get caught up chasing the big score and end up discouraged when it doesn't happen. They overlook the fact that wealth is the result of habits formed over time. You don't have to be a genius or have a rare opportunity. What you need is the discipline to show up day after day and do the simple things right. It's in the small daily acts, saving a little money regularly, learning a new financial concept every day, tracking your expenses faithfully, and reflecting weekly on your progress, that your financial foundation grows strong. I remember my own journey. When I started, I wasn't looking for a lightning strike. Instead, I focused on saving whatever I could, no matter how small. I made it a habit to invest in my personal development, spending time reading and listening to wise people. Every week, I would review where my money went and where it could go better. These daily disciplines didn't feel thrilling, but they built the structure I needed for success. It's like planting seeds in a garden. You don't see a forest overnight, but over time, with patience and care, the trees grow tall and strong. This principle applies not only to money, but to mindset as well. Consistent learning reshapes how you think about wealth. When you dedicate yourself to better understanding finances, investment, and personal growth, your mind expands and you make better decisions. It's the compound effect of knowledge applied daily that sets the wealthy apart from the rest. The reality is, financial freedom is more about your daily routine than it is about extraordinary luck. When you embrace these simple habits, you create a momentum that propels you forward. It's much like a stone rolling downhill. It starts small, but the more it rolls, the faster and stronger it becomes. And just like that stone, your daily financial habits will grow into something powerful enough to support a life of freedom. I want you to leave this with a clear takeaway. Don't wait for a miracle. Instead, commit to the small disciplines that make wealth possible. Make saving non-negotiable. Learn something new about money every day and keep a close eye on where your money goes. Reflect regularly and adjust your course as needed. These may not be glamorous steps, but they are the foundation on which millionaires build their fortunes. Remember, success isn't about brilliance. It's about consistency. Build your financial freedom brick by brick, day by day, and watch as your small actions turn into lasting wealth. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is not a single moment. It's the result of your dedication over time. Start today. When it comes to achieving financial success, Many people set goals with great enthusiasm. They say, I want to save $10,000 this year, or I want to be debt-free in 5 years. But what I've observed through years of experience is this. Goals alone don't produce results. They're important, yes, they give you a destination, but without a system, that destination remains out of reach. The secret to building wealth is not just in setting goals, but in turning those goals into reliable, repeatable systems. Let me explain this with a simple example. If your goal is to save $10,000 in a year, just stating that goal isn't enough. You need to break it down, make it tangible. How much do you need to save each month? What does that look like weekly? Even better, what about each paycheck? When you take your goal and break it into these smaller, manageable parts, you're beginning to build a system of process that will steadily move you toward that goal without relying solely on motivation or willpower. Motivation is fickle. Some days you'll feel strong and determined, on others you won't. If your financial progress depends on how motivated you feel on any given day, you'll struggle to maintain consistency. Systems, on the other hand, don't depend on feelings. They create habits. When you automate your savings, for example, money moves out of your paycheck and into your savings account automatically. You don't have to think about it or summon willpower. It just happens. That's the power of systems. When I first started building my own financial foundation, I didn't depend on inspiration or mood. I built systems around my income and expenses. Every month I'd allocate a certain percentage of my income to saving, investing, and personal growth. Over time, those small regular deposits compounded into significant wealth. This wasn't luck, it was discipline embedded in a system that didn't allow me to fail due to lack of motivation. The beauty of systems is that they are scalable and adaptable. As your income grows or your expenses change, you can adjust your system. But the key is to have the structure in place so that no matter what, your financial progress continues. This is how the wealthy operate. They design their lives around systems that automate success, from budgeting and saving to learning and investing. So, if you want to shift your financial situation, start by turning your goals into clear, actionable systems. Write down your big goal, break it into smaller parts, and then build habits and automations that move you toward those parts every day, week, and month. Success is not about heroics, it's about reliability. And systems create that reliability. Remember, a goal gives you direction, but a system gets you results. Build your system today and watch how consistent action, day after day, brings you closer to the wealth and financial freedom you desire. The structure you build now will carry you through the days when motivation runs low, keeping your dreams within reach. When it comes to building wealth, one of the most profound truths is that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I've noticed that many people get caught up in the immediate rewards, focusing on comfort today, chasing the latest gadget, or upgrading their lifestyle before their finances are truly ready. This is the classic employee mindset, where the horizon rarely stretches beyond this month's paycheck. But wealth isn't built that way. Real, lasting wealth is built over decades, through patience, discipline, and a vision that extends far beyond your own lifetime. Think about it. When you plant a tree, you don't expect to sit in its shade the next day. It takes years, even decades, for a seedling to grow into a mighty oak. The same principle applies to your financial life. Wealth is a legacy, something that's grown slowly and steadily over time. It's about more than just how much you earn today or how much you can spend now. It's about how much you can keep, grow, and ultimately pass on to the next generation. In my own life, I saw this play out clearly. Early on, I was tempted by the desire for immediate comfort, just like anyone else. But I realized that chasing short-term pleasures only led to long-term struggle. I shifted my thinking to focus on financial freedom decades down the road, on creating a future where I wouldn't have to worry about money and could enjoy life on my terms. This meant delaying gratification, choosing to save and invest rather than spend on fleeting comforts. The wealthy understand that true financial success is not about flashy displays or temporary highs. It's about creating a foundation so strong that it can support generations. They look beyond their own needs and think about their children's children. This mindset transforms money from a tool for consumption into a tool for creation of opportunities, security, and freedom. Investing early is critical in this process. The power of compound interest works like magic over time, turning small, consistent investments into substantial wealth. But the magic only happens when you give it enough time to work. That's why thinking in decades, not days, is essential. Every dollar you save and invest today is planting a seed for tomorrow's forest. So, to those who want to build lasting wealth, I say this: don't be distracted by the siren call of instant gratification. Don't measure success by how comfortable you are this month, but by how secure and free you will be decades from now. Make the choice to delay pleasure for long-term gain. Keep your money working, growing, and building a legacy that will outlast you. Remember, wealth is not just earned, it's preserved, multiplied, and passed on. Think long-term. Build with patience. And watch how your financial life transforms into a legacy that carries your values and dreams far beyond your own time. The journey is long, but the rewards last forever. One of the most critical lessons in the journey to financial freedom is understanding the power and the danger of emotions when it comes to money. If you let your feelings dictate your financial decisions, you will find yourself caught in a cycle of ups and downs that leads nowhere but frustration and loss. The truth is, emotions make you broke. Systems make you wealthy. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you made a decision to spend impulsively after a stressful day, or pulled money out of investments during a market dip because fear took over? These emotional reactions can sabotage years of hard work. I've seen this happen too many times, not just in others, but in myself when I didn't have a clear plan. The ups and downs of life, the stress, the excitement, the fear, they all influence our money moves. And without a system in place, those moves can be disastrous. The wealthy know this all too well. They don't rely on their willpower or their moods to manage their finances. Instead, they install systems-automated processes that keep their money working for them consistently and predictably, no matter what's happening in their emotional world. These systems can be as simple as automatic transfers to savings accounts, monthly contributions to investment funds, or scheduled reviews of financial goals. The beauty of systems is that they take the guesswork and the emotional roller coaster out of the equation. When you automate savings and investments, you build wealth whether you feel motivated or not. This means you're making progress on your financial goals, even on your worst days. And on your best days, you don't have to worry about whether you're doing enough. The system is already moving you forward. One of the most powerful lessons I learned early in my career was the importance of discipline over motivation. Motivation can be fleeting, but discipline, when baked into a system, creates momentum that's unstoppable. You build habits that don't depend on how you feel at the moment they simply happen, like the sunrise. Systems also provide clarity and structure. When you set aside time each week or month to review your finances, adjust your budget, and assess your progress, you are creating a habit of awareness that keeps you on track. Without this, it's easy to drift or to get overwhelmed by the chaos of everyday life. I remember when I first started working on automating my finances, I was skeptical. I thought I needed to be in control of every dollar. But what I found was that giving control to a system freed my mind and removed stress. I didn't have to worry about forgetting to save or making impulsive purchases. The system protected me from my worst impulses and helped me maximize my best intentions. If you want to build lasting wealth, you must build systems that outlast your moods. Let your money move automatically into savings and investments. Schedule regular financial check-ins. Make decisions based on logic and planning, not fear or excitement. In the battle between emotion and systems, system always wins. Build your financial life on systems, and you will create stability, growth, and ultimately freedom. This is how the wealthy protect their wealth and keep it growing no matter what life throws their way. When people start earning more, the natural instinct is to upgrade. a nicer car, a bigger home, fancier vacations. It's almost as if every dollar that comes in already has a lifestyle label on it. But here's what I've learned. Freedom doesn't come from increasing your lifestyle every time your income goes up. Freedom comes from converting that income into assets. And that's the secret most people miss. Now, let me take you back to a time when I had my first big financial breakthrough. It felt good. I wanted to celebrate. I thought maybe I should reward myself with a new car, something that turned heads. But then I paused. I asked myself, what do I really want? A nicer car, or a future where I never have to think about money again? And that question changed everything. I realized that income is just raw material. What you do with it determines whether it becomes fuel for your freedom or fuel for your expenses. The wealthy don't let income inflate their lifestyle, they let it expand their investment base. Before they spend, they allocate. They don't wait until after the bills are paid and the shopping is done to invest what's left. No, they treat investing like a non-negotiable. They turn income into income-producing assets, real estate, index funds, businesses, intellectual property, assets that keep working long after they've stopped. I once knew a young man who got a raise at his job. First thing he did, signed a lease on a bigger apartment, bought a new wardrobe, and upgraded his car. By the end of the year, his bank account looked the same as the year before, except now he had more stress and more monthly obligations. That's not freedom, that's a trap. Compare that to someone who takes that same raise and increases their monthly investment by 20%, opens a retirement account, or buys into a rental property. That person is building something that pays dividends long after the raise is forgotten. This takes discipline. It takes going against the grain. Because everywhere you look, the world encourages spending. Advertisements tell you that you deserve it. Social media pressures you to show it. But what you truly deserve isn't stuff, it's peace of mind. And peace of mind comes from knowing your money is working for you. Every time your income increases, ask yourself one simple question. How much of this can I convert into freedom? That one shift in thinking can change your entire financial destiny. So here's the principle. When your income grows, your investment habits must grow faster than your lifestyle habits. Do that, and you will create not just a higher income, but a higher quality of life. One that's rich in freedom, not just things. I've always said, depending on one paycheck is like trying to balance your future on a single leg. It might hold for a while, but the moment something shifts, saw company restructure, a health issue, a sudden expense, you're at the mercy of that one fragile income stream. And that's no way to build wealth or peace of mind. If you want to escape the paycheck trap, you must use your current income not just to survive, but to buy your way out of dependence. Now, this isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about turning your job into your first investor. Your paycheck is the seed, but it's not the harvest. Your job was never meant to be the final destination. It was meant to be the platform you leap from, not the cage you retire in. The key is to shift your thinking from earn and spend to earn and build. Let me give you a practical example. Years ago, I met a young man working a decent job in sales. He made a steady income, but like most people, every month he found himself broke again despite working hard. He came to one of my talks and heard the phrase, "Don't just make a living, design a life." That stuck with him. He didn't quit his job. He started using a small portion of each paycheck to build something on the side. He freelanced on weekends copywriting for small businesses. Then, with some of that side income, he bought an online course, sharpened his skills, and later launched a digital product that earned while he slept. Within 2 years, his side income matched his job income and then surpassed it. That's how you break free. Not with one big move, but with a series of small intentional ones. Start where you are. Maybe it's tutoring, designing, selling your knowledge, starting a small online store, investing in a stock fund, or saving for your first rental property. The options are endless, but the principle remains the same. Your job gives you stability, your side streams give you options, and options give you freedom. Here's the real shift. Poor thinking says, I just need a better job. Wealth thinking says, I need more streams. Because one stream pays the bills, but multiple streams pay for your dreams. You won't build wealth on one engine. It takes multiple gears working together. The danger in relying solely on a paycheck is that it places your entire financial fate in someone else's hands. But when you build income from different angles, skills, assets, investments, you're no longer waiting for opportunity, you're creating it. You're no longer hoping for security, you're building it. So while others are sleeping in on weekends or binge watching their time away, you can be building. Start small, but start now. Write that ebook, record that course, offer that service, launch that store. One stream won't change your life, but it will start the chain reaction that does. The paycheck trap only lasts as long as you allow it. Use your income to buy your way out, buy skills, buy time, buy freedom. One stream secures survival. Multiple streams create independence. Let me share with you a truth that changed my financial life. Money doesn't come to those who work the hardest. It flows to those who solve the most meaningful problems. You don't get paid by the hour just for showing up. You get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace in that hour. That's the great shift in thinking from labor to leverage, from being a worker to being a problem solver. And the beautiful thing is, every day is filled with problems begging for a solution. Problems in health, in finance, in business, in relationships, in productivity. You look around and you'll see needs everywhere. And wherever there's a need, there's an opportunity. All you need to do is match your skill set to that need, and you've created a bridge zone that brings value to others and income to yourself. I remember when I was struggling to make ends meet, I thought working longer hours would be the answer. I believed if I just hustled more, maybe life would reward me. But that's not how wealth is built. One day, I met a mentor who said, "You're digging ditches when you should be designing systems." That hit me hard. He showed me how solving one major problem for one client could pay more than weeks of just staying busy. And from that moment, I started looking at the world differently. So here's the key: ask better questions. Instead of how can I make more money, ask whose problem can I solve and how deeply can I solve it? The moment you make that shift, your income ceiling rises. Solve a $10 problem, you might make $10. Solve a $10,000 problem, and you're in a different league entirely. One person builds a tool to save time. Another builds a method to reduce stress. Another helps a business get more leads or a person get more fit. Solutions bring transformation, and people pay for transformation. Now, this doesn't mean you need to invent something groundbreaking overnight. Start with your existing knowledge. What are people constantly asking you for help with? What frustrates you in your day-to-day life? That frustration might be the seed of your greatest income stream. Some of the biggest businesses in the world were born out of one person saying, "This shouldn't be this hard, let me fix it." It also takes courage. You'll need to study your craft, grow your communication, understand your market, but that's the price of admission to the land of opportunity. And that's a good trade. Short-term effort for long-term earning power. There was a man I once coached who loved fitness but worked in retail. I told him, "What if your job isn't the ceiling, but the seed?" He started writing fitness tips for his friends. That turned into a small group. That became a coaching program. Eventually, his problem-solving, helping busy people stay fit became his full-time business. That's how you multiply your value. So stop thinking in terms of labor. Think in terms of leverage. Every problem you solve brings you closer to prosperity. Be the person who doesn't just clock in, but steps in with a solution. Because the world doesn't pay workers more, it pays problem solvers more. And the better the solution, the richer the reward. I've always believed that if you're not willing to invest in your mind, don't expect your bank account to grow. See, books are one of the greatest shortcuts to wisdom the world has ever seen. They compress decades of failure, insight, trial, and triumph into a few hundred pages. And yet, so many people say they can't afford a mentor. I say start with a book. For the price of a meal, you can get access to the thinking of the wealthy, the successful, the strategic. That's no small return. When I first started out, I wasn't surrounded by millionaires. I didn't have access to big thinkers or wealthy circles. What I did have was a library card and the willingness to learn. I devoured books like a starving man, biographies of great men, financial strategy books, personal growth, time management. If it was wisdom between two covers, I wanted it. And it didn't just fill my mind, it reshaped it. Because here's the truth, money follows understanding. If you want more, you have to become more. And becoming more starts with learning more. One of the earliest lessons I picked up was from reading about Benjamin Franklin. Now, here was a man who built wealth, influence, and legacy without inheritance, without shortcuts. And how did he start? By waking up early, tracking his habits, and reading daily. That idea alone changed the way I structured my mornings. Instead of waking up to rush, I woke up to learn. And that learning turned into doing. And that doing turned into earning. I also remember reading a book on compound interest. The way it explained wealth building over time shook me. It was so simple, yet powerful. From that moment, I stopped chasing big wins and started building steady ones. I learned that most people lose money not because of bad luck, but because of bad understanding, and books correct that. Now, I know some folks will say, but I don't like reading. Let me ask you this. Do you like being broke? Because staying where you are is far more uncomfortable than turning a few pages a day. You don't need to read a book a week, you just need to read daily. Even 10 pages a day adds up to over 300 books in a decade. That's a financial education most people never get. The secret is not just in reading, though it's in applying. Don't read for entertainment, read for transformation. Highlight, take notes, revisit your favorite lessons. Keep a wealth journal. Write down what stood out and how you'll apply it. When you start thinking with the minds of the greats, your actions change. Your decisions improve, and the results follow. I've met people who never went to college but read 50 books a year and they're millionaires. I've also met folks with degrees hanging on the wall who never read another book after graduation and they're still broke. Formal education might earn you a living, but self-education can earn you a fortune. So if you can't find a mentor in person, find one on paper. Study the greats. Read about wealth, read about habits, read about character. Because the mind is the soil, and books are the seeds. Plant wisely, and you'll reap generously. That's the power of turning pages into profit. Let me tell you something that's both humbling and powerful. The reason many people stay stuck financially isn't because they're not working hard, it's because they're not seeing clearly. And sometimes what you don't see is what's costing you the most. You see, we all have blind spots. Every single one of us. These are habits. Beliefs, behaviors often rooted deep in emotion or upbringing that quietly sabotage our progress. And the most dangerous part, we're blind to them. That's why they're called blind spots. You can't correct what you refuse to confront. I've had to face mine too. Years ago, I used to carry this habit of spending every bit of extra income. I'd justify it with lines like, I deserve it, or it's just a reward. But one day, a mentor looked me square in the eye and said, you're not rewarding success. You're robbing your future. That stung. But it woke me up. I had a blind spot around lifestyle inflation, and until I brought it into the light, I couldn't grow past it. And that's where the real work begins, not with more effort, but with more awareness. Take inventory of your money behaviors. Do you avoid checking your bank account because it makes you anxious? Do you always promise to save next month but never follow through? Do you avoid investing because you're afraid of making mistakes? Those patterns are costing you more than you know. And until you see them, you can't change them. One of the best ways to uncover your blind spots is to ask someone you trust. A financially responsible friend, a coach, even your spouse. Ask them, quote, where do you think I might be holding myself back with money? You may not like what you hear, but that discomfort is the door to your next level. You've also got to track your money, not just the numbers, but the patterns. Keep a small journal or spreadsheet where you record what you spend, how it made you feel, and why you made that choice. Over time, you'll start to see trends. Maybe you spend when you're stressed, or you save a little but never invest. These small insights are the turning points of transformation. And here's something else to remember. Blind spots don't go away on their own. They require your attention. If you ignore them, they cost you. If you face them, they free you. That's the paradox. What feels uncomfortable now becomes the source of confidence later. Wealth isn't just about action, it's about alignment. When your habits match your vision, that's when momentum begins. I once worked with a man who made a great income but never had anything to show for it. After we reviewed his spending, he realized he had a pattern of trying to impress people new clothes, luxury gadgets, eating out all the time. It wasn't malicious, just unconscious. But the moment he saw it, everything changed. He shifted those funds into investments, started building assets, and within 2 years, his net worth tripled. Why? Because he faced the part of himself he used to ignore. So if you want to elevate financially, don't just ask, what should I do? Ask, what am I refusing to see? Because the answer to that question holds the key to your breakthrough. Your wealth is not just in what you know, but in what you're willing to uncover. When it comes to building wealth, most people don't fail because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They fail because they lack patience. They want the harvest before they've even finished planting the seed. They chase fast money, quick flips, instant gratification. And the problem is, speed can look like success for a moment. But in the long run, impatience is one of the most expensive habits you'll ever carry. I've seen it happen countless times. Someone gets excited about a new business idea, jumps in with all the enthusiasm in the world, but within 3 months, they're bored or discouraged because it didn't explode overnight. Or someone starts investing in the market, and the first time it dips, they panic and pull out, locking in a loss that patience would have turned into a gain. You see, real wealth doesn't come from bursts of action, it comes from sustained effort over time. And time is the ally of the patient. When I started learning about compound interest, it changed the way I saw time. I realized that $1 invested today doesn't just stay $1, it becomes 5, 10, even 20 down the line. But only if you let it sit and grow. You don't have to be a genius to get rich. You just have to be consistent and patient. The market, the business, the brand, the reputation, it all takes time. And time, my friend, does not respond to pressure. It responds to discipline. Now, patience doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you do the right things repeatedly without needing immediate applause. You set up automatic investments. You stick to your budget. You build your skills day by day. You nurture your business like a garden watering, pruning, protecting, not ripping it out of the ground every week to check the roots. That's not strategy. That's sabotage. I remember one of the best investments I ever made. It wasn't the one that doubled in a year. It was the one I held for 10 years while everyone else moved in and out chasing trends. They made noise. I made returns. That's the quiet power of patience. It doesn't flash, but it endures. The trick is to reframe what patience really is. It's not passive. It's not weak. It's not settling. Patience is confidence in your process. Patience says, I don't need results right now because I know what I'm building. And when you have that mindset, you're not shaken by setbacks. You're not thrown off by other people's timelines. You don't need to compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. So, how do you grow financial patience? First, track your progress, not just your results. Celebrate the habit, not just the milestone. Did you save this month? That's a win. Did you invest consistently? That's a win. Did you say no to a luxury item and yes to your future? That's a massive win. When you see progress in process, you become less addicted to instant payoff. Second, surround yourself with examples of long-term success. Read biographies of wealthy people who built their empires over decades, not weeks. You'll start to realize that slow is not only okay, it's the real path. And third, train your mind with reminders. Write on a note. I'm not here to be rich fast. I'm here to be rich forever. Put it somewhere you can see it every day. In the end, impatience spends, patience builds. The ones who succeed financially are not always the fastest. They are the ones who stayed the course when it wasn't glamorous. So if you want real wealth, practice the discipline of waiting while doing the work. That's the mindset that multiplies. Most people want financial freedom, but they're not willing to give up comfort to get there. They want to be wealthy, but not at the cost of disrupting their routines or stretching their current reality. That's the trap, and it's one of the most subtle forms of self-sabotage. Comfort feels safe, familiar, and easy, but nothing new grows in a place that doesn't challenge you. You'll never find wealth in the middle of ease. It lives just beyond the line where most people stop trying. When I first started down this path of personal development and financial growth, I had to trade in a lot of comfort. I had to give up sleeping in so I could study before work. I had to skip the steak dinners and say no to the fancy car so I could build my savings and investment portfolio. I had to go from entertaining myself every evening to educating myself. It wasn't glamorous. It didn't feel good every day. But what felt uncomfortable in the moment began to feel empowering in the long run. And freedom started to replace comfort as the new standard. Here's the hard truth. The life you want requires a different version of you. It demands discipline when comfort tempts you. It demands the courage to say, not now, to a temporary pleasure so you can say, yes forever, to lasting freedom. See, most people won't cut expenses because they want to maintain the image. They won't learn new skills because they feel embarrassed to be a beginner again. They won't start a side hustle because failure might sting their pride. But wealth doesn't care about your pride, it responds to your priorities. So what do you have to trade? Maybe it's those impulse purchases that steal your financial future one swipe at a time. Maybe it's trading scrolling for reading or binge watching for business building. Maybe it's saying no to weekend parties so you can work on your goals. That's the real work, not always hard, but consistently uncomfortable. And if you can live a few years like most won't, you'll live the rest of your life like most can't. And the interesting thing is, once you step out of your comfort zone and get used to growth, it stops feeling uncomfortable. It becomes your new home. I remember how awkward it felt the first time I tried to network with successful people. I felt small, like I didn't belong in the room. But the more I showed up, listened, asked questions, the more I realized I didn't need to belong instantly. I needed to earn my seat. And I did. So can you. Don't let short-term ease rob you of long-term freedom. Make the trade. Every time you resist comfort in favor of growth, you build a muscleome that wealth recognizes and rewards. And remember, the goal isn't just more money. The goal is options, time freedom, the ability to say no because you're no longer dependent. That kind of power doesn't come from staying comfortable. It comes from doing the work when it's hard, pushing through when you feel like quitting, and choosing the long game even when the short one looks tempting. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to value freedom more than comfort. And when you do, everything starts to change. When it comes to multiplying your wealth, you've got to understand that information alone is not enough. We've got too many people sitting on mountains of information, but their bank accounts are empty. They've read the books, taken the courses, listened to all the podcasts. They nod their heads in agreement, but never move their feet in action. That's not learning, that's entertaining the mind. Learning is only the beginning of the wealth-building cycle. What follows determines whether you grow broke or grow rich. I learned this early. I used to fill notebooks with wisdom from books, seminars, and conversations with mentors. But I noticed something: my life didn't change just because I wrote something down. It changed when I started doing something about what I'd written. I made a rule: don't just learn it, apply it. When I read a book on investing, I set up an investment account and made the first deposit. When I studied time management, I restructured my daily calendar. When I learned about the importance of financial tracking, I created my own weekly money log. The lesson is, Knowledge becomes power only when it is converted into consistent, strategic action. But there's another step that takes it even further, teach it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stand on a stage or write a book. Teaching starts with helping your kids understand money. It starts with sharing that budgeting strategy that worked for you with a friend. It's in those simple moments where you pass on wisdom, not to show off, but to solidify your own understanding. When you teach something, you're forced to organize your thinking. You realize the gaps in your knowledge. You strengthen your beliefs. That's the secret. The wealthy know when you teach what you apply, your learning deepens and your confidence grows. And there's another benefit. Teaching multiplies impact. When you help someone else grow, it expands your network, your influence, and your value in the marketplace. People are drawn to those who can articulate wisdom and demonstrate results. That creates opportunities sometimes in ways you didn't expect. I've had people offer partnerships, consulting, even investments, simply because I took time to share a lesson I'd learned and applied. The marketplace rewards not just knowledge, but the generosity of applied wisdom. Now, let's bring this into a simple framework. Learn something every day, apply something every day, and share something every week. If you do that, your financial life will begin to shift slowly at first, then significantly. Maybe today you learn how to reduce one expense, apply it by canceling a subscription, and teach it by helping a family member do the same. Small, simple, practical. That's the formula. Don't underestimate the power of repetition in this cycle, because when you do it often enough, you develop mastery. And mastery in any area, be it money, business, or mindset, is rewarded with abundance. So the question is, what are you learning right now? What are you doing with it? And who are you helping with it? If you can answer all three, you're on the right path. Because wealth doesn't just come from what you know, it comes from what you do and what you give. That's the cycle of financial multiplication. Learn, apply, teach, repeat. The journey to financial freedom doesn't begin with a bank account. It begins with a decision. A decision to think differently, act intentionally, and grow consistently. Wealth is not built by chance or luck. It is built brick by brick with habits, vision, and discipline. And the beautiful part is you don't need to do everything at once. Just begin. Begin where you are, with what you know, and commit to getting a little better every single day. You already have the seeds of greatness in you. Now it's time to water them with purpose, protect them with wisdom, and harvest them through action. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Get clear, get started, and stay the course. Because the moment you stop chasing money and start building wealth day by day, choice by choice, that's the moment your future changes forever. Now's the time to take ownership. Make the shift, plant the habits, build the life. Let your actions from this moment forward become the proof that you chose freedom over fear, vision over comfort, and wealth over survival. Let today be the day you begin.